watch, and keep rewriting the weeks after. These are horror movies so much worse than you think, and most of them you've probably never heard of. Let's start with Horror in the Hot Desert. Gary Hinge is a solo biker with a YouTube channel and a loyal following. He'd go out into the Nevada desert alone, filming his hikes, posting online, and thousands of people watched. The guy was good at what he did. He knew the terrain, he knew how to survive, and he knew when something felt wrong. During one trip in 2017, Gary found a cabin in the middle of nowhere. The second he saw it, every alarm in his lobby went off. He couldn't explain why. The place just felt wrong in a way that went past words, past logic, straight into whatever part of your brain still remembers what it was like to be brave. So Gary did the smart thing. He ran. And then he made the mistake that killed him. He posted about it online. He told his followers what he had seen, what he had felt, and how something about that cabin made him turn around and leave. And the internet did what the internet does. They called him a liar, said he faked it, said he was just trying to get views. You need to understand something about Gary Hinch. He was a quiet, awkward guy who kept to himself. He didn't have a lot of people in his life, but he had his followers. Thousands of strangers who watched his videos, left comments, and made him feel like he mattered. When those same strangers started calling him a fraud, something in him broke. So he went back. He packed his camera and drove 55 miles into the desert, all the way back to that cabin, just to prove he wasn't lying. Because apparently the approval of people who would never know his name mattered more than every instinct screaming at him to stay away. 4 months later, search teams found his backpack with a camera. His camcorder was inside, still gripped by his severed hand. He never stopped filming, even as whatever was in that cabin was killing him. He held onto the camera as he needed them to believe him. He needed the footage. He needed proof more than he needed to survive. The serious part of this movie isn't what's in the cabin. The movie barely shows you that. What it shows you is what the internet did to a lonely man who just wanted to be believed. Gary Hinge didn't die because of a monster. He died because strangers called him a liar, and he couldn't let that stand. Gary died for validation, for the approval of people who would forgive his but what if the thing hunts you doesn't care about any of that? What if it doesn't care what you need, doesn't care what you're afraid of, it just wants you dead? And you're following the people towards it in broad daylight with absolutely no way to speak up. In VHS Beyond, Live and Let Die, a group of friends go skydiving for a birthday. That's the setup. GoPro cameras strapped to their helmets, big smiles, that whole living our best life millennial energy that you've seen 1,000 times on social media. A lot of people you see. They jump, they're in free fall, and then something appears in the sky above them that has no business existing. Massive spider-like things with heads that almost look human, and dozens of them are filling the sky at once. An alien invasion starts while these people are still falling in the air. What makes this so much worse than any other alien movie that you've seen is that normally you can do something. You can run, hide, barricade a door, get in a car. You have options. These people don't. They've already jumped. They're in parachutes, drifting down, and the only direction they can go is towards the ground. They can't speed up, they can't change course, they just fall. So they watch. They watch the world below them turn into a war zone while they drift towards it. They watch the plane they just jumped out get hit and crash into it explode. They watch things in the sky through a lens of no category for something from above, and they just keep falling, slowly, helplessly, moving around, and not be safe in the time they reach it. The whole thing is shot in broad daylight. Blue sky and perfect visibility with no shadows behind its cover. You see everything with total clarity, and there's nothing to look away to. There's something especially cruel about the GoPro footage here. These cameras were supposed to capture the best moment of their lives, birthday content, memory-making stuff that you post and rewatch for years. Instead, the camera's recording the last moments of everyone on screen. What you survive seems the hard was built to survive, but the people wearing it, they don't survive. The invasion is still happening, the screen cuts to black, and the implication is obvious. This is not something that's happening locally. This is not a scouting party. This is the end of everything, happening in real time, and the birthday party just happened to be the sky capturing it when it started. Nobody escapes because there's nowhere to escape to. The sky belongs to them now, and all of that GoPro footage becomes the last record of the species that didn't see it coming. You can't hide from the sky. That's the lesson. But what if you prove something impossible? Actual physical evidence in your hands, undeniable, real, and the world still refuses to believe in you. Well, that's exactly what happens to the Frogman. Dallas Kyle was 10 years old when he filmed the local Frogman. In real footage, shaky and blurry, but real, it was a massive frog, a creature standing upright in Ohio woods, caught on his family's camcorder during a vacation in 1999. The footage went viral for a little while. Dallas was famous, and then the internet decided he was a liar. People picked the video apart frame by frame, called it a hoax, called him a fraud, said he was just a kid looking for attention. And because the internet never forgets and never forgives, that reputation followed him for the next 20 years of his life. By the time we meet with Dallas is pushing 30 and crashing in his sister's guest room. His relationship ended, his career stalled out, and he's still hanging on that one thing from childhood because it was the only time anyone ever paid attention to him. So he does what any reasonable person would do. He drags two friends back to Ohio to make a real documentary and prove he was never lying. Here's where it gets interesting. Loveland has completely turned the frog into a tourist trap. Gift shops, merchandise, guided tours, the whole town wrapped its arms around this legend and squeezed every dollar out of it. It's almost charming and funny, honestly. But underneath all of that small town stuff, something horrible is happening. Dallas finds a cult operating in the surrounding woods. And these aren't quirky weirdos wearing dress up. These people worship the frog in this ancient cause older than humanity, following rules that we can't begin to understand. They're doing rituals. They're transforming people into frog human hybrids to contact the creature. The body horror is real. It's disgusting. It's not what you would expect from a movie, but a guy on a swamp cousin exists. Dallas gets his proof. Not just footage, but he ends up with Frogman's actual wand. A glowing artifact that can't possibly be faked. It's real, physical, undeniable evidence that something supernatural is out there. He then shows it at a film festival, and the audience watches everything he captured. The credits roll, they applaud and cheer, because they think it's an excellent found footage horror movie. Nobody believes it's real. The epilogue then tells you what happened to everyone. Scotty became a missing person, locals who helped him were never seen again, and Dallas stands in the back of the theater, holding actual proof of the impossible, listening to a crowd chant the same, while celebrating what they think is just a fictional movie. The truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes the truth just gets packaged as entertainment, and nobody knows how to give it to you. Dallas couldn't make anyone believe him, no matter what proof he had. But what if they did believe him? What if everyone knew exactly how dangerous it was, and you had a perfect plan to stop it, and the plan still failed? What if you did everything right and it still went wrong in the worst way possible? Well, that's exactly what happens in life. The crew on an international space station finds a single dead looking cell in soil samples from Mars. They bring it back to life and they name it Calvin because a bunch of school kids on Earth won a naming contest. Cute, right? Within days, Calvin teaches them what a perfect predator actually looks like. Every cell in Calvin's body does everything at once. Muscle, sensor, and brain are working together in the same tissue. There is no wasted space, no weak points, nothing extra. It is a survival machine, so with that, and it learns faster than anything the crew has ever seen. The first time it touches a human hand, it breaks every bone in it, just for fun. The second time it touches a human, it kills them. Ryan Reynolds, of course, dies first, because they were running out of money. Let's be honest, that's exactly why Ryan Reynolds dies first. You wouldn't have Ryan Reynolds in a movie in 2017 and kill him off this quick if you were not running out of budget. Calvin literally forces itself down his throat and eats him from the inside. Yum yum happy meal, using his organs as fuel and building material. When it comes out of his mouth a few minutes later, it is bigger than when it went in. That's when the crew realizes what they're dealing with. Something that doesn't just kill you, but grows stronger every time it does. One by one, Calvin picks them off. Remember dies of spacewalk when it gets into a suit. Another bleeds out after Calvin uses his leg as a hiding spot to escape quarantine. By the end, two people are left. Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson. Of course we need Jake fucking Gyllenhaal here. Calvin is still out there, learning and growing, getting smarter by the hour. They then come up with a plan. Gyllenhaal will lure Calvin into one escape pod and launch himself into space. Gone forever, alien on board, sacrifice play. Ferguson takes the other pod back to Earth to warn everyone. It's simple, clean, and noble. The plan works perfectly if you're an idiot, because it works perfectly in reverse. Ferguson's pod spirals off into deep space. She's screaming into the radio, but no one can hear her. Also, they can't help her. Don't be bad. That's not much they can do for you. Just go, whee, into deep space. Whee, bye-bye. Meanwhile, Gyllenhaal's pod splashes down in the ocean off the always Vietnam, right? It's always got to be Vietnam. The fishermen blow out to it, excited and curious, ready to help whoever's inside. Well, Gyllenhaal is in that pod, pounding on the glass, screaming at them not to open it, because Calvin is in there with him. The last image for the credits is those fishermen reaching for the hatch above the pressure open, but to let something out that will eat its way through every living thing. The plan didn't fail because someone made a mistake. It failed because the universe decided the worst possible outcome was the one that would happen. No villain, no sabotage, just pure cruelty. In life, the horror is kind of random. Calvin didn't target her. He just ended up there through bad luck and worse timing. But some monsters aren't accidents. Some monsters get raised by loving parents in good homes with every advantage, and they still choose to be evil. Everyone knows the Superman story. Baby lands in a spaceship, gets found by good people, raised with love, and becomes a hero. It's the most hopeful myth in American pop culture. The idea that kindness and good parenting can turn anything into a force for good. Brightburn asks one question. What if that's not how it actually fucking works? Tori and Kyle Brenner are a farming couple in Kansas who can't have kids of their own. One night, a spaceship crashes in the woods near their property with a baby inside. They take him in, name him Brandon, hide the ship in the barn, and raise him as their son. For 12 years, everything seems normal. He's a quiet kid, he's an strange baby, but he's theirs. Then Brandon hits puberty, and the ship starts calling to him. He sleepwalks out to the barn in the middle of the night, floats in the air above the wreckage, and chants words in a language that doesn't exist on his planet. His parents finally tell him the truth about where he came from. He doesn't thank anyone for saving him. He's just angry. And when he finally decodes that the ship has been whispering into his brain a few words over and over, take the world, something clicks with the place behind his eyes. Brandon starts killing people. A woman in a diner gets her jaw shattered so badly the bone hangs loose while she's still conscious. Kyle figures it out first. He calls him to his room, takes him on a hunting trip, and tries to shoot him in the back of the head, but the bullet bounces off. Brandon turns around and Kyle doesn't make it home. Tori holds on longer. She's his mother. She can't let herself see what he is. But eventually she tries to. With a shard from his own ship, it's the only thing that can hurt him. Brandon catches her hand, flies her thousands of feet in the air, and lets her go. Then he just goes back into the full of innocent people just for fun. He did it so there was no witnesses, but it was really he just felt. The post-credit scene shows grainy footage of other things like Brandon out there. Like a sea creature attacking ships, beings in government bunkers that shouldn't exist, because he's not unique. There are more coming. What makes this movie so hard to shake isn't that Brandon chose evil. It's that his parents did everything right. They loved him, raised him well, and gave him every chance to be good, and it didn't matter at all because he won. The monster was always going to be a monster, no matter how much love he poured into it. Brandon was raised to be good and chose to be good. But what happens when you walk to this unfulfilled? Don't realize you're part of it. That's exactly what happens in just two the documentary crew talks their way into information called compound. The leader calls it escape. The filmmakers think their local shows are fraud. They've got hidden cameras sewn into the clothes, interview questions ready to go, the whole undercover journalist routine. But they have no idea what they actually walked into. The cult leader, who everyone calls the father, sits down for an interview. He speaks calmly and talks, reckoning what something has been building towards completion for a very long time. The crew nods along and asks follow-up questions, making the documentary a con artist with delusions like Miranda. They're not. They're standing inside a machine that was built to fill the arrive there with a fun documentary.
This is Arby's pulled pork and chopped brisket. This is the juicy result of slow smoking meat for up to 13 hours. And this is you forgetting time exists and getting lost in the sauce. Before I knew, I was dead. Before I understood what nuclear truly meant. Before I could use my mind to move a submarine, I had to be born for it. You can be smart, or you can be really smart. All conditions normal.
Pilot rate jeans starting at $29.90 in stores and at Maurice's.com.
You told Mom to send her prescription to Amazon Pharmacy. She didn't. Now you're stuck behind this guy, as he uses the pharmacy line to purchase half the store.
Everywhere, people take their own lives at mass without warning. Cult members are poison, shooting each other, cutting their own throats with the same expressions they had during prayer. The flu is trapped in the middle of it with bodies everywhere. Blood on the surface with no explanation for what's happening or why. And then the father slits his own throat during the interview, right on camera, he drops and blood is surrendered. A few minutes later, he walks back in. His body is clean. His face is blood. He announces the prophecy has been fulfilled and then he explodes. The woman in the compound, she dies in the process, but something is killed. Not a baby, but a demon. A thing that has no business existing, pulled into the world through years of ritual and sacrifice that clearly nothing about. The last survivor is Adam, the filmmakers. He makes it out of the compound covered in blood and completely shattered. He's running through the jungle, trying to get as far away as possible. The demon doesn't chase him, but it calls after him. It calls him